This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
It's beginning to look a lot like treason every time we vote. Take a look at the Mesa docs, fake ballots in the Dropbox. Election night reporting shows the blow. It's beginning to look a lot like treason. Ballots the wrong size. But the scariest sight you'll see are the reporters on TV sticking to their lines. Once the votes are counted, it must not be doubted, it all went just as they planned. If more votes than voters, you shouldn't have noticed, you just don't understand. And George and Klaus can hardly wait to do it all again. It's beginning to look a lot like treason every election time. Take a look at the ballot mules, playing us all for fools. Sure, they'll never answer for their crime. It's beginning to look a lot like treason. Soon the count will stop. If the numbers don't look right, they'll just change them in the night with a ballot drop. They don't care if we know it, the networks won't show it, the sheep will think it's all fine. If lawsuits you're planning, they'll kill it on standing and sue you for wasting their time. And Zuckerbucks keep rolling in to keep the clerks in line. It's beginning to look a lot like treason, socialist galore. But we will not go away until every traitor pays and we're free once more.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you? Lovely to have you as part of the show tonight, and Merry Christmas. I hope you're going well. I've just had Darren Bergwerf on the phone. He's saying, I haven't got the link. So, yeah, well, there you go. I've got Bob in there. I forgot I had Bob up. Right, so I've got to resend the link to Darren Bergwerf. Just give me a second, folks, while I copy all this and try again. As it is with things through the email, when I do one of these shows, I have to send the invites out I usually send them via 4 email addresses. 4 different ones, and usually one of those invites gets through, and I might send them multiple times from those addresses, and invariably the invites turn up the next day in their email account, but they never turn up when invited. Let me just text this thing back to Mr. Bergwerf. What did you think of our opening song there tonight? Can't talk and type at the same time. What did you think of that? Pretty cool, I thought. Very nice little show. We've got a few interesting folks who've come on tonight, as you've already seen. Bob is sitting in the wings. Fitz is also sitting in the wings tonight. He has some interesting little, certainly a very interesting little thing he's going to present to us a bit later on, and it's something that many folks here in the freedom game and in the, I suppose it's not, sovereignty isn't a game. But those seeking clarity on sovereignty and those using common law, we've got something for you tonight. Fitz's little Christmas gift to everybody, I guess that's the best way of putting that. Without further ado, let me bring him into the room. How are you, brother? Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Carl. Merry Christmas to all the listeners. I have been a bit busy today. Sort of don't seem to stop no matter what time of year it is. So I'm pleased there's something that can be contributed for people over the Christmas break, and they can use it from this point onwards.
Yes, well, I hope so. Now, obviously, you're a machine. You're going to just plough on, but I will hope that you'll cook something beautiful for your mum on Christmas Day.
Okay, I'll let her know that I've been summoned to treat my mum.
Well, mate, got to do those sorts of things on Christmas Day.
That's right.
And well, yeah, let's not downplay it. You look after your mum a lot, so all power to you. And I hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas. And I know that while you're separated from certain members of your family, not far from your thoughts, not far from mine. So all the best to you through this period. And thank you for everything this year. The education that you've given me on Magna Carta 1215, despite our false start. And, I suppose we can tell the story briefly. Fitz and I had a conversation one night where I got terribly excited, so much so that I forgot who he was and never talked to him again for 3 months. And then he contacted me again through a different channel. And I got very excited. We started talking again, never put the two and two together until much later. And you tell a very funny story about you and your daughter thinking it was the most hilarious thing. So thank you for bearing with my stupidity and getting me on the track, educating me to a point where I know enough to get myself in trouble and not enough to get myself out of it. So much more education to come in 2023.
Yeah, look, it was an absolute pleasure. Like, I have to say, the actual resistance at the beginning and all the questions that were fired, trying to break it all down, that was a real joy, because slowly just seeing how when knowledge lands, just how there's a transformation, it's just natural. So just being part of that process was real joy. So yeah, I just appreciate the fact that you had a real interest to actually want to learn from curiosity, as opposed to making your mind up, which so many people do. They make their mind up without really investigating from that place of interest and curiosity. So, tip my hat to you for that, because that's transformative.
Well, I find it hard to dismiss things if I haven't experienced them at all, and learning, and like you say, some of the challenges in our early conversations, because I was very much not belligerently so. I mean, I had genuine questions, because my head was filled with judicial law and not a great knowledge of that either, I must admit. And I had questions that I felt picked holes in what you were saying. After some education, I remember we had one conversation that lasted for like 6 hours one day, and I rang you the next night and said, I've got 4 questions for you. And that conversation went 5 hours. We never recorded a word of it, but you have a way of delivering the message that I'm finding through people in the channel and feedback that I get on the road, that for those of us that are listening to the message, those of us who are open to what you're saying, and I know that you say things in a funny way. I make fun of it, but it is the power of your words and the way that you explain the power of Magna Carta 1215 that really does excite all of us that, get the light bulb turned on. And I know you should be very proud of the efforts that you've not only put in with me and the Voice of Freedom, but working with those around the world who you work with. Most people aren't aware, but I'll just say Fitz isn't just working in Australia. And you should be commended, mate. Thank you very much for everything that you're doing.
Yeah, look, I actually, be honest, it's just something that happens innately. It's not something I force. It's just there. So it's just something, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just something that's a phenomenon I can't understand. It just happens on its own. And I'm just pleased that there's some place out there that actually cares enough to want to actually get the information out. So for me, I have equal amount of gratitude that you had the courage to go and stand on your own 2 feet and, do your own thing and put out there anything that, you felt had integrity. And so here we are. That's the beauty of
and we've grown a group of interested people around the country. Nobody suggests for a minute that we are an army or a large group, but there is, well, large by comparison to the rest of the population. We are not, but it's a growing group, and unfortunately, some people are jumping in on the lessons sort of before they've started at number one and worked their way through, and then are finding contradiction or thinking they found contradiction in what they know and what they believe later in. So we've got to keep our education for them, I think, ongoing, because we're always going to get those folks who drop in for a show and don't really understand what we're discussing. And as long as we can keep an open mind and keep inviting them, then I think that's going to work out really well. Now, before I bring Bob on, because I'm not exactly sure where Bob stands with common law, and we won't get into the discussion with him because he has so many other really cool things to talk about. But you have been working studiously, and in our previous shows, we've been talking about morality. We've been talking about the use of power, how the police operate, and under what rules or lack of them that they operate. And you've come up with a new caution. Would you like to explain it?
Yeah, so it's actually something that it's just been fermenting, I guess, for a while. And then it sort of just dropped about what police do when they enter property. They go under an assumption. And so what doesn't really ever get raised is people don't actually call them on what they're actually doing, because they really serve two masters. But no one's actually written anything that actually explains the cost and the consequence for serving two masters. And so it's sort of just something to drop. And I just went, why not just call it out for what it is? Why is there nothing out there like that? And so I just thought, well, why don't I just piece something together that's kind of a collection of the things we've been saying in the lessons anyway, and just put it as far as like a notice on your door. Not so much that they're going to really care, because when they get orders, they just go do them anyway. It's more about if your neighbors see it, that'll get them to ask some questions, because it's so visual. They'll be like, what's that? And this is a way, without realizing it, that other people might start coming into the fold. So if you think about it for long-reaching effect, it's not about getting an instant win, because nothing we do with Magna Carta is about winning straight away. It's a long-term plan. And if we can start implementing some seeds into other people's minds and get them to ask some important questions, that's when it really starts to shift. So it's kind of got that in mind as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's bring it up. And you suggest that people do what with this? Print this out, put it at the front gate? Yeah,
like on your front door or on your front gate, depending on what kind of property you have. I'd laminate it so it can last longer, and just have it there. So, if they're going to ignore it, at least they know what's coming for them somewhere down the pike. They can't say they didn't know, and they can't say that they weren't aware, because it's right there in their face. So that's the kind of thing that we really need to start. This is about how do we get into people's consciousness. And that's all it's really about, because there's still a man or woman behind that costume, right? You just think of what that vest comes off just as quickly as it goes on, right? And underneath that vest, there's someone who has a conscience. Yes, they've stepped over it. Yes, as long as they feel in their mind that they're protected by the system they run, they'll go do it. But what this does, this shows them that they're not as protected as what they think. And so this is about getting into that their consciousness, because if we take away that floor, that safety floor that they're standing on in their mind anyway, that's when I'll think twice before they do it, unless they're like under strict orders, and they'll just do it anyway. However, this does give them a moment to pause.
Just trying to make this so people can see it, and it's a bit of a juggle with the way that I'm set up here. So hang on a second.
It might require a bit of scrolling, maybe.
So let me read it if for those folks who aren't close enough to pick it up. You are on. We'll start at the very top. Police caution: does your insurance cover you before you trespass? For duplicity, you are on private property, which requires you to prove that you are standing under oath of office of constable, sworn and declared in public on the day of your graduation. To hold the authority given to peace constables to act in service of the people, you are required to recite your oath of public service upon request. The oath of office is the peace constable's pledge to protect and defend the inalienable rights of the people by upholding the principles of universal morality without fear or favour at all times. Should you fail to recite your oath of service upon request, you become personally liable for serious criminal torts of fraud by misrepresentation, duplicity, trespass, threats with menaces, extortion, defamation, denial of due process, harassment, malfeasance in public office, misprision of treason, and sedition. Do you understand? Ask yourself this: what are the consequences for sworn officers that violate morality? You have been cautioned.
So, yeah, I just saw that opportunity to really speak to the heart of the matter, because there's only one form of authority, and that's from that neutral place where there's a principle. Anything that doesn't come from principle is someone's prejudice or bias, right? And they've sworn an oath, even though they don't understand it. They know what morality is, because they would never like the things that they do to us to happen to them. That's how they know. They would never accept it. Just that by itself, right? Because if any sort of action comes against them in their unit, right, they are the arbiters of what they decide is going to get prosecuted or not. Could you imagine? And they just start sweeping things under the carpet. If it looks like one of theirs is going to get done, all of a sudden it just gets lost. You know, it has to be some serious pressure before it even gets looked at.
Absolutely.
So this is about, you know, they know what it is, and they're still making a choice, right? And there's a man or woman that's just in clothing like you and I, that just wears a vest, and they're told a bunch of stories. But guess what? That doesn't excuse them from the reality of what they're doing. And so what we're doing is we're just letting them know, you know, you are still personally liable. You have the choice to decide to act morally or immorally, and you know the difference. So, you know, make your choice, but you make your bed, you lie in it. That's coming down the track. It might not come today, but it's coming for you. And that's what we're letting them know. And, you know, so you make sure that if you have this on the door, you actually have something ready to record if they do actually persist.
Absolutely. All right, Fitz. Well, look, thank you very much for the efforts on that. I've got Chris sitting in the sidelines, and I've got Bob sitting in the sidelines. So you're welcome to hang around for as long as you like, mate. Bob, of course, is our mate from Western Australia. Merry Christmas to you, Bob. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, and obviously these new reports that we're stepping up to from WA. Shit, you see some interesting stuff. And before we get into the interesting stuff, I've got to bring Chris in from Starseeds too. So everybody, if you missed Chris's show with me a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. Chris, why can't I see you? You've disappeared.
I'm there, mate. I can see you.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm not getting a picture from you at all for some reason, but I can see you
That's
in the...
weird.
Let me remove you and bring you back. That's weird as. Anyway, we don't have to see you in your Santa suit, mate. You know, as long as we can hear your dulcet tones, that would be all good. So, Chris, please meet Bob and Fitz, obviously. And
How are you, Bob? How are you, Fitz?
For folks who haven't come across Chris, can you explain about, you know, Starseeds and what you're into?
Oh, with Starseeds and Patriots Down Under, I pretty much just started doing videos from some of the collated evidence that I'd been screenshotting over the years, and I decided to put some of this stuff into small videos to try and seed the minds of individuals out there trying to wake up on their little journeys, etc. And each individual topic that I discovered in my own little journey, I decided to, you know, make an actual video of specifically, and led from one thing to another, and led me to some interesting places. And I thought, well, if this is as interesting as it is to me, I'm sure it's going to be interesting to the rest of the world to know. And yeah, just led on a journey of truth and bringing it all out. And I had no fear of it, because I mean, after having a near-death experience, you kind of have that element removed from you when you have that happen, and you have no real, you know, fear of it anymore. Like, fair enough, you want to maintain your physicality, etc., and you never want to leave this place because it's such a beautiful gift to be here. But at the same time, having that element removed gave me that no fear element of standing up and saying something.
Oh, there you go. You've come to life in camera. Woohoo.
Here we are.
All right, good setup. Thank you for giving us a bit of an update on how you are. I love the little lights you've got going on the background there. There's one that almost gave you a halo there before, just as you came.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Bob, I've introduced you 3 times now, and you haven't said a bloody word. So I'll shut up and let you say something. Merry Christmas, mate.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and to everyone out there in the internet. And
Mate,
probably
you on holidays or are you
police
working through?
radio.
Oh, I'm sorry, I talked over you. Are you on holidays or working through?
No, I'm working through. As a truckie, which is what I do now, we don't get holidays. It's this time of year we hate it. It's basically full on right the way through to April, getting into May.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you were working. We were talking. I think it's probably closer to a couple of weeks ago now. You were working in the middle of the night, and there was a huge electrical storm out over, well, off the coast of Perth. Was that right?
Yeah. I work in and around Fremantle, and to say it was a standard electrical storm would not be the right thing.
Right.
I've been through thousands of real lightning storms and that sort of thing. They're generally, especially when they're right overhead, really, really scary. You know, you can feel it in the air. But what happened, on this day? Yeah, I'm scratching my head.
So describe for us what you saw.
Okay. Think of having lightning strikes all around you.
Oh, really? Sorry, hang on 1 second, Bob. Hang on 1 second.
Tech difficulty.
Chris, you said, Chris, it was you who said you couldn't hear him?
Yeah, mate, there's something going on. I can't hear him from my end, buddy.
Okay, I don't know how I can fix that. I don't think that's my end. That's weird. Your stream came up funny too. So,
should I maybe go out and come back in again? Maybe.
Why don't you try that?
All right, mate. No problem. Give us about 2 seconds, buddy.
Right, mate. Easy. So there you go. We'll kick Chris and righto, Bob. So I'm sure he'll pop back in 2 shakes. So must be interesting. You might see a lot of things working middle of the night, running up and down the coast there.
You certainly do. Just in a truck, you get to see quite a bit anyway. But just taking that opportunity to stand back and sort of look at how people are, going about their daily stuff, you actually see a hell of a lot more than what most people truly realise. And unfortunately, that includes what goes on in some cars, but that's definitely another story. I don't want kicked off YouTube just yet.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. Let's keep that one. Yeah, let's keep that one for a rumble chat, eh?
Definitely.
Here he is. Chris is back in. I tell you what, if all this gets a little bit too, if all this goes a little bit too difficult, I might just go off because I've just had a look at my Wi-Fi connection. And
mine too.
And I am currently connected to Telstra, which gives whoever with the power enough thing to play around with me. However, with a click of a button and a short disappearance from me, I can be connected to Starlink. So
nice.
Okay.
To Telstra.
Fuck them.
So if this sort of thing. So, Bob, continue on. Let's see whether or not Chris can hear you this time around. Testing.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me now, Chris?
Perfect, mate. Thank you, Bob. Awesome. Thanks,
Bob. So
no
it was what time of the morning? Big storm that really wasn't electrical.
Right. So this electrical storm started about 7:30 at night and went through to about 3 a.m. And we were getting lightning strikes around every 3 to 10 seconds thereabouts. It was really weird, but there's 2 real things that happened in this event that, you were just way out of the ordinary. A lightning strike normally comes from the clouds down.
Yep.
Now this happened from the ground up. And normally, when lightning is right over your head, you get the huge booms of thunder and everything else.
Sure.
This was totally silent. Not a peep for the entire night. And you can see, like some of the forks and whatnot right above your head. You can see the plasma peeling off the main, the main lightning strike right above your head. So, but even the feeling of it, I've driven through quite a number of lightning storms where normally if you truly feel lightning, it's get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Where this, it was like, don't worry, you're safe. You will not be harmed or whatever. Just a feeling that you had, and I cannot explain it to this day. So I'm sort of actually hoping that either yourself or Chris might be able to enlighten me a little bit about it. Because I've seen some weird shit in this world, but that's another life-changing moment. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure it would have been.
So, Chris,
absolutely.
Would you like to have a stab at explaining that to Bob?
Yeah, I'll give it a good go. That's actually interesting that you said that it was lightning.
Remember, we are on YouTube.
We're on YouTube, are we? Okay, so we're not on Rumble, right?
Oh, no, we're on Rumble too, but we're everywhere.
Okay. All right, the key words are in place, mate.
Okay.
Well, for my personal opinion about this, I think personally this event as such is definitely connected to something that's quite well out of this world to a degree, to somewhat degree. The fact that the lightning was coming from the ground up, not down from the sky. That also reminds me of an actual key that was given to us in a movie, the War of the Worlds that was done with Tom Cruise. The lightning came from the ground up in that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's a key element right there that we should be looking at. The fact that these lightning strikes were roughly 10 seconds apart. I also had the same night, I was actually sitting there thinking to myself, this is just too familiar when you were explaining what was going on. Because the same night there were storms coming here in Brisbane at the same time. And that particular night, I heard 4 specific booms from underground that were consecutive, one after the other, that weren't timed correctly. Because usually when these sorts of what I call operations that are going on with certain things that are with, I'd say, the 6th branch that's going on and working with other groups that are underground right now, they unfortunately didn't time the booms right with the lightning strikes that were consecutively going in 10-second intervals. Now, I believe whatever was above was either possibly owned by us, something that's back engineered and it's actually been utilised over, through the storms, because we know that the Alliance has been able to do this and utilise storms as cover under stealth.
Yep.
Best way to do operations is under stealth and darkness, just before dawn. Especially before dawn, that's when your enemy is weary. One thing I've could also possibly take a stab at is it might have been some of the groups that have lined up recently and come back. I won't, if you want me to elaborate on that, I could, but really I think personally it would be more so a military alliance sort of operation. That'd something I'd be more inclined to believe.
Yes, so reverse lightning strikes without sound is something that has been flagged in movies. It has been written about as well, I think, and a few other things. Darren Bergworth dropped in there very quickly. He looked like we had him all set up, and I was just about to bring him in, and he dropped out. Oh no, looks like he's coming back in. So give me a second here. I'll hit the button. Going to fill up the screen tonight. Good evening, Merry Christmas, Mr. Bergworth.
Hey, how are you?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Got Chris there that you can see, Bob who you can't see, and Fitz up the top there. I hope you and Anna are gearing up for a pretty big Christmas, mate, and thanks for joining us tonight.
No worries. Nice to be here. I couldn't hear you before, so I jumped out and got back
Come to a grinding halt. That could be me.
No, I couldn't hear you talking at all.
Can't hear that.
Oh, we back?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there you go. So I just was wishing you Merry Christmas and seeing whether or not you were at the pub.
Not at the pub. I'm just actually in a quiet spot at the moment. It's a bit noisy out the back. We're just having our Christmas kind of party for the last My Place for the year.
Yeah, beautiful. So, so where are we at now, numbers wise? Last time you and I spoke, I suppose a few days ago, we were at over 50. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's about 55. But we haven't really done much this week. We're still trying to catch up with all the other ones and get everybody up to speed. And everyone else got other things on their mind at the moment. So it's nearly Christmas, and they've got other things to do.
Yeah. Got to go on holidays. Got to go and have a bit of a surf. I drove up to the Sunshine Coast and back today, and a lot of people on the roads, a lot of caravans on the roads. So take it easy, folks. And if you aren't used to towing caravans at speed, then please make sure you know your weights and balances. And saw one getting the sways
Tire
up there
pressure.
today, tire pressures, all sorts of things play into it, and look after yourselves with it. So Darren, My Place, we're planning on growing a lot more in 2023, and looking forward to coming down. I think we'll be in Melbourne in January, and then we're going to go and do a bit of a run along the Murray. I think, is that the plan?
Look, everything's up in the air. It depends on what you're up to and when you're ready. I'm pretty flexible, so I've got about 4 different ones that I'm going to speak at their first kind of meeting in January, early January.
Okay, well, you and I will talk about that. I should be able to be down there, well, pretty much early January, and the Galactic Larrikins, I think, will be with us too. So it's going to be a bit of fun. We're looking forward to that, and then we're heading off to South Australia, and I think Cherie was saying there were like 15 shows that way. So we're looking forward to being able to see that. So I know you're wandering through My Place at the moment. It's great to see a few people turning up on the eve of Christmas Eve, if you like. How important are you all really aware of how important My Place has become, particularly in Frankston, to the people?
Well, I've been hearing that a lot actually in the last few days and weeks, and even tonight. I'll just give you a quick squiz as we walk through. But this is how important it is to the people around here. Say hello.
Hi. Hi. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that.
Oh, beautiful.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. Look at the support. Oh, my gosh. Wow. That's amazing.
So, that is just tremendous. Merry Christmas, folks.
Tremendous. Awesome job.
Hey, please pass on the best to Jackie.
This is where I spend most of my time on a Friday night.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Mate, that's spectacular. What a roll-up on the eve of Christmas Eve. Absolutely fabulous. So thank you so much for the effort that you're putting into it. And next year, we're going to help you grow that far and wide. We'll go anywhere that wants to start a My Place, and we'll bring a show. As I'm going to try and pry him out of Melbourne on the odd occasion, folks. So I'm going to try and get Darren away from the big smoke and out of
bring him up to Brisbane.
Yeah, well, we might just wait until it gets cold and wintry down in Melbourne and bring him up when it's warm then, and we'll do a little bit of a run. But there are plenty of requests for you to come up this way too, mate, through New South Wales and definitely in Queensland, all the way up to far north Queensland. So, we'll figure out a way of getting you to a few of these events, because at the end of the day, it's through you that they are going to be the success, through the group that you've now been able to build around you. So is there anyone there you particularly want to thank, because you haven't done it all by yourself?
Oh, pretty much I have, but no, not at all. Not at all. Look, every time I try and start thanking people, and I try to refrain from doing it because I always leave somebody out, but
Sure.
we went out for dinner last night. There's about 13 of us, which is the core kind of steering committee group. And then we've got all our committees outside of that. But they're the ones that put the heart and soul of My Place at Frankston. The ones that are working on all the growth plans and trying to implement stuff and trying to get some funding. It's only it's up to every community how quickly they grow and how, it's a lot of work. The ones that put the work in are going to have a really successful experience. The ones that don't, well, it's it can only be as good as the people that are running it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And if you've got a good group running it, you're going to get a great group of people coming to it. And from that, the community will build. Absolutely spectacular. So taking time off, you're going on a bit of a holiday, or are you just hanging? Oh, no, you were going to go building, and you're building something, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be working pretty much every day.
Yeah. Oh, well, ho, ho, ho to you then.
Yeah, there's no time. No rest for the wicked, mate. There's no time to stop. It's just, and in saying that, like, I spend too much time probably on my phone, which puts me behind on all the other stuff I'm supposed to be doing. So I've got to try and get a bit of a balance back on next year when we come back to stay off the phone a bit more and actually get some constructive stuff done as well.
Well, I know that the people of Frankston are very, very much behind you. The People's Council is growing from strength to strength. And when are your local council elections coming up? Are you focusing on them yet?
Nah, it's 2024. I'd hope to be serving papers on the ones that are in there now and removing them before that.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, listen, I won't hold you up because I know you've got a couple hundred people there, and you are in charge of the sausages, so don't go burning them. And we'll let you head off. Will you please, from Laura and I, to you and Anna, please have a really Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Be safe if you're driving around, mate. And with what you're doing with your building, can't wait to work closer again with you in 2023 and help build my place across Australia into the huge, great community that we can have here in Australia and potentially internationally. I haven't talked to you about that. But there are some international interests in my place that have contacted me from Europe and America, and South America. We'll talk about that in 2023.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome, man. I really appreciate what you've done for this as well, and getting it out there to the rest of Australia, and actually coming down here and living, what we've created, and actually feeling the vibe of the place and the energy that's every event we have here has got the same energy. And
I felt it as you walked through, mate. I felt it as you walked through. I could feel it coming through the phone. That sounds really weird, but yeah, the vibe you generate. And I've got to admit, the other ones that I've been to have a similar vibe, maybe not as large as yours, but there's a few more people turn up at your place at the moment.
Yeah, and it's not rocket science. I mean, people have just got to get together and stop following these other people, these other leaders, and forget about all the noise and just concentrate where you live, and get your community happening like this, and that's the answer. Get your local councils under scrutiny and rebuild your community, and that's it's really not that hard to do. It takes time and it takes effort, but it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's all about people managing their time and getting around to their community and connecting all the different aspects of your community into one group. And if everybody could do that in every town around Australia, I swear to God, we stand here this time next year, and we'll be well and truly the majority.
Yep, absolutely. All right, mate. Have a great one, and be safe. Thank you very much for being part of Voice of Freedom.
Merry Christmas, mate.
Yeah,
be safe, brother.
Cheers, Darren. Cheers. Thanks, mate. Have a good one. Mr. Bergwerf, live from my place in Frankston, and hello to, I don't think Cherie is at my place in Singleton tonight. I think they not meeting again now until January, but we had a lovely time there for their first social night, which was last Friday? I don't know, done a few kilometres, losing track of days, as it tends to be. So, Chris, while you're still with us, give us a bit of an idea of, what are you hearing about what's going on at the moment? Can I put it that way? And what can you say that is going to not get us immediately flagged for something stupidic?
Well, I think there's definitely some operations that are going to definitely be coming up very soon. Or either that or they're already underway. And I do believe that within the next 3 months, because unfortunately, because of certain elements within this war, change, and the goalposts unfortunately do either come forward or go back. I do believe that there is going to be some slight bumpy rides ahead, but I do believe that the outcome is going to be very much all in our favour. But right now, as to what operations are happening, I haven't heard much in the pipeline right now. I have not. It's actually like a blackout right now, from what I can see.
Yep. I was asked a question the other day. Really made me think. It shouldn't have been a hard question, and as it turns out, when I asked a friend, the answer was plainly evident in front of me. There was a lot of talk. I've received a lot of emails. Fitz, you might have something to say on this, and maybe you too, Bob. I was asked about helping to raise the vibration of the people, which means raising one's own vibration. Now, I'm a pretty fat bastard. Parts of me vibrate that shouldn't. When I stand up, when I walk, God, don't ask me to run. Parts of me don't stop wobbling for minutes. However, that's not the kind of thing we're talking about, I guess.
No.
Now, raising one's vibration, the message that I'm being told is coming from ethereal sources, from extra terrestrial sources, from the sun, from energies being put out from the sun, from a variety of different things. But many people are unaware or are blind to it, and I've got to admit, I guess I'm one of them. How do I consciously go about lifting my vibration and those vibrations of others around me? And I ask this on a global scale for all of us. G'day, Jason from the Sunny Coast. Good place.
Yeah. Okay. Well, probably help you there. A couple of things. Do you often walk around barefoot, and especially outside?
I do at the moment because there's a bloody great dog I have to play with on a lot of times. A lot of times a day when we play tuggy. And while I avoid his turds, it's like a fat ballerina dancing because he shits like a horse. And doesn't care where. So we have a great game of tuggy, and yes, I'm more often than not in bare feet.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm actually quite a spiritual fellow myself, and a couple of very quick, easy ways in order to raise your vibration. One is actually get connected with the ground. Throughout life, you're always told, put socks on, put shoes on, walk around the house. What you're doing, you're insulating yourself from Mother Earth. And by you walking around in bare feet on the grass, the stone, whatever, you are actually earthing yourself. So you'll actually start to get rid of some of your inflammation, joint pain, that sort of thing, because energy can flow out of you.
Yes.
So you're starting to remove your blockages.
Wasn't there a movie that Robin Williams was in where he had to do... I want to think the name of the movie was Toys, but I don't know. It's an old one where he had to get onto grass and ground, and he would dig his toes in, and he called it grounding.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just I've always done it. Even right from a little nipper. My parents were always yelling at me, put something on your feet. It'll be freezing cold, 6-7 degrees outside, and I'm walking around in bare feet. And always have.
Wow.
But that is one
way.
The other way too is understand, and this doesn't matter what religion you choose to follow. You only need to start to make time and talk to your higher beings, your gods, whoever you choose to recognize, but talk to them directly. You don't need to go to church, put money into a plate, or really listen to some crackpot old fool tell you that you've sinned. To me, I know when I've sinned, because generally my moral compass is giving me a smack around the ears going, you shouldn't have done that. So
That's right.
yeah, but just start talking internally, and you only need 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And that alone is enough to start
And
raising
it's
your
positive
vibration.
talk. Positive talk. It's not about saying,
Yeah,
oh, gee, I am a beautiful person and I am much loved and I am this whatever. Although that can probably help if you have those images or that sort of image problem. I mean, I've been saying to myself when I see myself in the mirror after I have a shower, lose weight, you fat bastard, lose weight, you fat bastard. It doesn't seem to work. Running around the backyard with the dog does. I've lost a couple of kilos, believe it or not. Yeah, don't ask where. I'll measure it over Christmas. We'll see how we go. But it is about being positive. It's about having a laugh. It's about, not being dragged down by the other forces that are put in place to do just that, to depress us. So that's how we raise our vibration. And Chris, why are we being asked to raise our vibration?
Well, for one, where we're heading in this new future, where we're going, personally, there's no room for negativity. Really, at the end of the day, I mean, we've been living on a negative timeline for a very long time, and everything, as you were saying, vibration, frequency, as we talk, vibration, frequency comes from the vocal cords, which, excuse me, vibrate back and forth. Now, depending on the consciousness of yourself and what you vibrate through those vocal cords, they can be used as weapons in a negative form. They can be used as a positive form. Okay, where this consciousness, what we need to do with this consciousness and raising it, makes us more aware of not only ourselves, but what we say, what we do, how we act, how we interact, how we are especially conscious of being morally sorry for what we do to another. Being actually remorseful and actually meaning it, not just saying the word sorry and actually just hoping that everything goes back. I've had a lot of things happen recently where I've had to be an example where showing action shows more than actually just saying the actual word is sorry. We have to lead by examples and actually show action and back up what we're actually meaning. Being this raised consciousness and being an aware being as such also allows you to find things within yourself, because most people we're taught through through the church, the religious indoctrination systems that have controlled us, that we've got to constantly look for this thing, this vengeful group of armies coming from the sky in the Revelations or whatever, this bearded genocidal maniac, it's going to point his bony finger at you at the end of days. Well, sorry, that's just not the way it is. You want to look for finding what's out there, really look within, because everything that's out there actually exists within, and we actually are made from the very material, the matter that this universe is made from the very moment of its conception. It came forth, bursting into a three-dimensional realm. We are part of that matter. So therefore, we are consciously able to interact with that. There are more neurons and connections in the human brain than there are stars in the universe. So that means we are able to consciously interact with these sorts of things and these universes, these galaxies, these beings that are consciously much higher in vibration and frequency. Another thing that comes with being higher in vibration and frequency as well is that your body itself vibrates at a higher frequency too. So that means that you are outside of our color spectrum to somewhat degree as well. So sometimes when you see those things out of your peripheral vision, see someone moving, that is the color spectrum that we're not able to see in as such. And that's where the realm of where you are as a higher vibration frequency being in, say, a 5D state, fifth dimensional state. We are existing in a three-dimensional state. So that's where we're trying to aim for right now, essentially, is to get to that next step in our evolution by being this conscious self and being vibratorily aware of what we say, what we do, interact, et cetera, et cetera. By doing this and doing it around a lot of other people at the same time, it helps them raise theirs. Now, by being around people consciously all the time like that, raises everyone's. So, yeah, it actually does very much takes us to a new place of human consciousness and evolution within the human being and culture and civilization. where we haven't been before. And if you want to start a new a new world, you can't start it with the old hand that we started with last time. We have to start it with a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things, a new way of approaching everything. Everyone. It's the only way that we can do this. But yes, vibration, frequency, consciousness, and awareness is actually everything that we need to really, be focused on, as well as what else is going on around us. You have to look within as well as what's going on around us.
Fitz, I can't help but think you might have something to add here as well. Oh,
sorry guys, I had my mic off, so I just wanted to give you some space. Am I coming through okay? You guys hearing me?
Yeah, mate. Yep. No,
perfect, mate. Perfect.
All right. Yeah, look, I'm not really sure how much more to add other than working on the fact that every aspect of our lives has been a program. So how many people are willing to look at their own belief systems that they still currently hold, it's easy for them to spot externally, but how many people have the real capacity to go deep inside and go, well, do you know what? If other people can suffer from cognitive dissonance, where are the aspects where I suffer cognitive dissonance? And really take a deep look inside. And so very few people understand the language that we speak in the most intimate ways impregnates how we understand our reality. And so if we're going to imagine a new way of being, we actually need to start looking at the words we use. So for example, if you think of the world in terms of there's a right and there's a wrong, then you start believing that someone gets the power to define what that is. Now, there's a different way of seeing the world other than right and wrong.
That's right.
Are my actions in alignment with my life values? Now, if you ask yourself that question, you will never hate yourself. But if you see the world through right and wrong, the next thing that's coming is guilt and shame. And those are really destructive energies. They actually imprison us, and they're the source of depression, anxiety, anger. They're actually stimulants from a way of thinking. Now, that's been programmed into us to see the world that there's sin and not sin. They're actually not reality, because nature does not judge us on what we do. Only the human mind does, and it can be programmed. And so if we want to actually raise our vibration, it's about understanding there's a different way, a different perspective, another vantage point by which to actually transcend past these old ways of thinking. And it's been there forever. That knowledge has been there forever. We've just not been having access to it.
That's
so
right.
it's that looking into the language we speak to ourselves and to one another. So I want to use just a quick example of why I'm going to bring common law into this. Is very few people understand that every interaction they have in their life is them practicing common law. If you're in interaction with someone else, you are practicing common law. You are practicing morality. That's all common law is.
That's right.
Is your understanding of morality. And so when people make assumptions about what they believe someone is for what they did, that's them not giving them a fair trial. So if you start thinking in terms of, oh, well, that man's nasty, or, he's violent and all these sort of things, but you've never really looked into the context of their life, how can you truly know what it's like to walk in their shoes? And so if we want to give people a fair trial, we don't even give them one in our minds. And so there's the first hurdle right there. So I don't know if that actually made any sense, or that just sounded like a bit of waffle, but that's kind of
not at all. Not at all. That actually is right in alignment exactly with universal law.
Oh, wow. Yep. I'm pleased that actually came through. Thanks, guys.
Very good. Very good. It's a bit of a pity that the Galactic Larrikins couldn't join us tonight. Unfortunately, Rob is working, and Bradford, believe it or not, had to grab a hold of a whippersnipper, and I think he was cutting a runway for the reindeer through his front yard. So, and having seen his front yard, the reindeer would need a runway cut into it. So I don't think it's seen a snip in a while. So, he had to carry on and do that tonight. So otherwise his mother was going to get very upset. So there'll be none of that. Unfortunately, he couldn't. And I sent Mark an invite, but his invite may well have suffered the same fate as a number of others did tonight. I had hoped that Cass Smith from Holistic Financial Solutions, or formerly from Holistic Financial Solutions, now from Freedom FFS. Financial grid. It's just really well named. At any rate, Cass is on her way to her Christmas abode, so she may not have got the invite early enough. I think she's driving at the moment. So Merry Christmas to her. Boys, I'm going to wrap it up because it is on the eve of Christmas Eve, and there are many folks who've got better things to do than sit around, least of all the three of you talking to me. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Chris, you and I have only recently met, but 2023 is going to hold some interesting shows for us. I'm looking forward to talking more with you on Rumble. We certainly won't be doing it on YouTube. And there is a lot of interesting stuff out there to talk about, folks. Pardon me. I learned things today. In fact, just give me a minute. I've got to try and remember the name of this thing. No.
Yeah, okay. Just while you're doing that, Carl, yes, I was going to say, Chris, love to catch up with you at some point, and possibly another show here for Carl. But
absolutely,
I've had several trips down to Antarctica where flying in the
now,
Orion.
Now we're talking, mate.
Yeah. Now, and there's, let's say there's a few anomalies. So
I was going to ask you, are you aware of the anomaly under Lake Vostok?
No, I'm not. But are you aware of the ancient ruins that are not that far away from McMurdo?
Yes, very aware of them, and also what's under the 4 miles of ice that's there at the moment that's been found in the last 10 years. Yes. I'll give you all a quick. I'll give you all a little hint for those of the viewers that are at home. Atlantis has been found. Everyone, okay, that is the truth.
And
they're just keeping it from us.
To say that the pyramids are only in South America and Egypt.
Oh yeah,
no. I can say actually, where those ruins are. There are 3 pyramids sitting up on the hill. And
actually, I think Carl, I sent you a photo of a golden one that's I think and believe in the South Australian desert.
Yeah. Yep. A golden pyramid in the middle of the South Australian desert, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Interesting that old train lines unused. What happens to old train lines in Australia, folks, when they reroute major lines like the GAN?
Yes.
When they reroute the Indian Pacific, build a new line for it. What happens to the old line?
That's right.
A road.
Where do they go?
What happens there? Anyway, boys, I want to tell you about this, and I'll give you folks at home a little bit of Christmas homework. I want you to go and look up something called the Garuda San Giovanni route. Garuda, Garuda, and San Giovanni is spelled Sanjivani.
Right.
Now, I could play you a little bit shoot video, but I'm not going to. I want you to go and find it. I've been copping a bit of flack recently, and I don't care for trolls in one way, shape, or form or the other. What I don't like is laziness in people who refuse to click into the search bar and type something into it. So I'll spell that all for you again. Garuda San Giovanni, Garuda. That's how you spell Garuda. And San Giovanni is Sanjivani. And it's a route. You will find a BitChute video that will amaze you with what this Garuda San Giovanni route can do. Where do you find it? You find it at the foothills of the Himalayas. And going to be interesting. There is so much that has been hidden from us, folks. Water and air. I'll give you something else to ponder, okay? Those of you who like flying and like aircraft, I've watched 2 short videos today, which I'll post the links up to in another chat. Using the A380 as an example, the A380 carries something like 356,000 liters of fuel, all up weighing 260 tons. right?
Yep.
It carries 260 tons. And they do the mathematics on, where they would store 260 tons of fuel, how it gets imbalanced. And look, there are a few things about it they don't mention. They quite obviously claim that you can't cram 350,000 litres of fuel into the wings because the wings aren't big enough. And what would happen, it all gets unbalanced. They have a centre belly tank, and baffling is installed in all their fuel things. But all that aside, the argument was being made in these videos that we're being charged at least 50% for the seat you sit on goes to fuel. And the fact of the matter is they don't use very much fuel at all in what they do. And the way that the engines are built, now designed, mean that they create if you like, a vortex in front of them that they are sucked into, particularly at cruise.
That's right.
And they don't use any fuel at all, or very, very little. Yeah, so it's a very interesting thing. But the maths for me really, and I'm no mathematician, but the maths explained in this video really made me think. They can fill an A380 in 45 minutes. All right? The fuel tankers can fill, and the fuel tanker is essentially a pump. So they hook into an underground tank, they pump up from that, fill their own, and then force it into the wings. We've all seen them fueling up aircraft under the wings. Now, they did the math on that, how to load 350,000 litres of fuel in 45 minutes. And they figured out the pressure that would be required to put it in under. And if it were going in at that pressure, it would blow a hole in the wing, straight through it, cut it like a laser. So how much fuel are they actually putting in? How are the aircraft really flying? Because it's not the thrust. Look, this all comes down to the ether, folks. The ether is going to be a very interesting thing we're going to talk a lot about in 2023, I have a feeling. Air molecules, water molecules all work the same. I'm going to do a couple of really basic science experiments for people over the Christmas break. One of those will be to show you the difference between a contrail and a con spray. And it's very easy. You can do the experiment yourself. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. I may well electrocute it myself at some stage because I'm going to test some water. And there's a couple of other ones I've got in the background I'm working on. So it's got nothing to do with. No, I'm not going to say that. So yeah, going to be an interesting time. I'm going to let you guys go, and everybody who's watching. Thank you very much for sharing your Friday night with us on the eve of Christmas Eve. If you are traveling, if you're on the road and just pulled over for the night, then please be safe. The roads are very, very busy, very, very full. If you are just in the car going to a shopping centre, you're taking your life in your own hands. I understand it, having done that today and yesterday twice. So, yes, quite frightening. But take it easy. Ask the universe for a car park well before you get to the car park. Give it time to find you one, and you will be directed to it. Always works for me. I learned it years ago. Ask the universe, please, I need a car park near the end of the building I want to be at. And invariably, if I give it enough time, the drive there's a car park near where I need to be. It's weird, but it works.
I love it.
And just be thankful.
I'm very thankful. You always give thanks afterwards.
Always say thanks.
Yep. So, yeah. Oh, look out. There we go. Somebody's talking about Tartaria and the old world.
Lots of fun.
These are all topics 2023 holds for us on Rumble.
Got a lot of that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
EV cars, out since the 1830s. Yes.
Yep, I got photos of all that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting stuff that's been hidden from us, folks. And and aside from us learning about it, the big question is why? Why did the bastards have to hide it?
Control.
Exactly.
Control.
I think they were more so in fear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we will try very hard to help you see that in 2023. Well, we grow my place and a few other things. So I'll do shows on and off through the Christmas break, folks. I want you to have a good Christmas. There were things happened like I haven't heard before we go, has anybody heard about the Australian Stock Exchange today? Last night, the
No.
US Stock Exchange crashed. The indicators, and when it reopens tonight, it's going to be interesting. The indicators are that this is the worst crash since the 1931 crash that triggered the Great Depression.
Right.
So there are stockbrokers not quite leaping out of windows yet, but I think they might be over pulling the curtains back. So
precursor
on the stock markets. But I have looked today at various different news services. I missed the main news, obviously, not that I watch it. And I tried looking up online a free sort of stock market ticker thing and couldn't find one. I was just wondering if all our boards were red today on the stock exchange. And silver, Hans is saying silver has been going up lately. Yes, it has. Gold's been going up as well. One would expect platinum and most of the other precious metals are on the way up too. Hang on to your silver, folks. Watch the market. There was something very interesting happening yesterday. America had positive figures for their economy, and yet the market reacted in the absolute opposite direction. And Europe didn't play along for some reason. Watch this space. Wouldn't be at all surprised to wake up tomorrow morning and find that there is a stock market crisis happening across the globe. So we'll wait and see. I mean, I don't know, and I'm no financial analyst. I'm just telling you what I've read and what I've seen, and if it comes through, it comes through. But yeah, interesting time. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, thank you all very much for coming on tonight. Fitz, you have a great Christmas. Bob, thank you. You and yours. Look after yourselves over in Western Australia. And,
thank you, gentlemen.
Going to be another hot one. And Chris, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm looking forward to doing more next year with you. It's going to be awesome.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers. Thank you very much, folks, for your help tonight too. And not just tonight, but right through this year. I've said on many occasions that you've given me my daughter back. The love that we experience when we go on the road, the support that we get from you, the generosity that many of you have shown us, not just financially, the generosity of the love that you share with us has changed both our lives, but certainly has given me my daughter back to me. She was a shattered person 2.5, 3 years ago, and I was struggling to put her back together. Got her on the right path, got her to a point where she needed more, and the more she needed was you. So I can't thank you enough. I'm sorry. I can't thank you enough. And I will fight for you, folks. Always and forever. John Wilson will fight for you. In fact, John and I are catching up over Christmas. And we hope to do a lot more with John next year too. There are lots of good people in the movement, folks. There's a lot of talk about the movement at the moment. And the piss ants in it. There's going to be a lot more talk about that next year too. And I hope that these different factions will either stand up, change their spots, or back down and step away. And I commend Christian Mack for doing just that. I'd never met Mack, never had a conversation with him, I don't think, or maybe once. And it was just better that he stepped away. Not because of anything in particular, but just simply because there was too much division around him. And this cannot be a divisive movement. Tonight, we've spoken about lifting our vibration. That's what we need to do, folks. Lift our vibration. If we can lift our personal vibration and help those around us lift theirs, then our community's vibration will lift, our country's vibration will lift, the world's vibration will lift. And, well, call it what you will, ascension, new dawning of knowledge, a drawing back of the curtain, the use of a lot more than that 8 to 10% of the brain that we apparently are only using at the moment. But for that to happen, we have to become more in tune with ourselves. And we have to be much, much more honest with ourselves. For many years, I was a great deceiver. And the only one I was deceiving was myself. And I believed every word I told myself. Every word of it. Wasn't until I realized that I was just deceiving myself that I began to change. And it's a very hard conversation to have with yourself. I wasn't a person who looked back at my life in retrospect and said, oh, gee, if only. I've very much been a person who makes decisions based on the available information and then live with the consequences after it. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Thankfully, since I've had this epiphany of my own, a little bit of self-reflection and a great deal of self-honesty helps you grow, raises your vibration. It's not easy. It's not hard. Being honest with yourself is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, particularly if you're a good self-bullshitter like I was. So let's do that. Let's raise our vibration. Let's kick on. Somebody said in there, how do I contact Guru? You go to Guru's channel and contact Guru. That's probably the easiest way to contact Guru. To Mel and Guru, Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all those fabulous things. 2023 is going to be very interesting for us all. And I know that, we're going to have a ball. Those of us that want to be out there fighting the war are going to enjoy fighting the war. So Dave and Mel are certainly part of that group. You're going to be guaranteed. And to the Boseys too. Merry Christmas to them. I did speak to Rick the other day and passed on the season's greetings, but we talked about a great deal of things, and you'll be able to talk with him early in the new year. We've lined up for a chat. They're very busy, as we all are at this time. And so we're going to chat sometime in the first week of January, I think we lined up. And undoubtedly we'll get a direction of where A1's going for 2023. Hopefully we will have seen a great deal of changes between now and then, but who knows? Who knows? I would particularly, just before I finish tonight, like to mention the Canberra Standers. They're a group of people in Canberra who are abused, tormented, have been pelted with marbles and ball bearings in the middle of the night. They've been harassed by police. They've been harassed by civilians. They've been harassed by masked people running through their camps in the middle of the night, tearing out tent pegs and bashing them. These people are standing in Canberra for us. And this morning, a number of them were arrested while they were at the usual point where they send their greetings to the Governor-General every morning. A number of them were arrested. All of them had their licenses suspended. They were all taken away and processed and let out at various different times throughout the day. Our Canberra Standers are doing it hard, folks, really hard. And coming up on January the 6th, there's going to be a Unite in White stand at the Duntroon military base. If you can come to Canberra on January the 6th and stand Unite in White and stand with the Canberra Standers, I'm sure they would appreciate that more than you will ever know. Right now, their spirits are low. I'm sorry that you had to go through this, boys, and I'm sorry there's not much we can do about it. We can help where appropriate, when appropriate, and we will. You know that. I want you boys to know that every day I think of you. Every day many people write about you. You are not forgotten. People may not understand entirely what it's all about, but that doesn't really matter. We know what it's about, and you should be all very, very proud, and your names will be written high in years to come. So chin up. Have a Merry Christmas. I know it'll be hard. I hope you have a good barbie around the lake, and I'll be giving you a call at some stage. So chin up. It's unfair the way you've been treated. Not just by the federal, the authorities, but it's unfair the way you've been maligned. And it's unfair the way that certain Canberra citizens have seen fit to treat you the way they have. You are the front line. You are standing ground in Canberra, letting them know we do not forget, none of us. And if January the 6th is the day where we all come to Canberra again and unite in white, then let that be so. I'll get there. I'll bring the crew. We'll start there, if that's what it's going to be. January the 6th in Canberra, folks. Are you up for it? Unite in white. You may have seen the Unite in white in front of the Enoggera Army Barracks that John Wilson did about a week ago with some folks from the Sunshine Coast. Absolutely powerful. Wonderful, wonderful way to work. So if you want to be part of that, folks, let's be part of that. Let's help the Canberra Standers know that we do love them. They are supported. And when needed, we will come. Stay safe on the roads, folks. Be very safe this Christmas. There are, as always, a lot of dickheads out on the road. We saw a bloody heap of them today driving up to the Sunshine Coast and back. A lot of fabulous folks who are obviously packed up for holidays and are enjoying themselves. I don't know how some people saw through their windscreen with the amount of tinsel they had hanging off it, but ho, ho, ho to you all. Just be safe on the roads and take love into your hearts this Christmas. Enjoy your time with family if that's what you're doing. If you have no family, go make a friend. Go make a new friend. Share a sandwich. Doesn't have to be turkey. Doesn't have to be a roast. Might just be a beer. And I might see a Christmas night with a friend. We're working on it at this stage. Tonight, I'm going to close the show a little differently. I'm going to close it with the little song that I played at the opening of it because there might be a few folks who missed it. So have a very Merry Christmas, folks. And here's the Christmas jingle I'm going to be singing for the rest of the year.
It's beginning to look a lot like treason every time we vote. Take a look at the Mesa Ducks, fake ballots in the drop box. Election night reporting shows the blow. It's beginning to look a lot like treason. Ballots the wrong size. But the scariest sight you'll see are the reporters on TV sticking to their lines. Once the votes are counted, it must not be doubted, it all went just as they planned. If more votes than voters you shouldn't have noticed, you just don't understand. And George and Klaus can hardly wait to do it all again. It's beginning to look a lot like treason every election time. Take a look at the ballot mules, playing us all for fools. Sure, they'll never answer for their crime. It's beginning to look a lot like treason. Soon the count will stop. If the numbers don't look right, they'll just change them in the night with a ballot drop. They don't care if we know it, the networks won't show it, the sheep will think it's all fine. If lawsuits you're planning, they'll kill it on standing and sue you for wasting their time. And Zuckerbucks keep rolling in to keep the clerks in line. It's beginning to look a lot like treason, socialist galore. But we will not go away until every traitor pays and we're free. One